This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
You know, sometimes it's hard to start these with a smile, with a grin on my face. Today, very briefly, I want to talk about something that happened back in February. Donald Trump, at his core, is a grifter. Absolutely, over the course of the last 70 years of his life, he has proved himself to be a con artist, to be a grifter, to be on the take. Always trying to scam, always trying to get the better of his situation. And it has shown itself out time and time and time again that is true with relation to how he deals with the presidency, how he handles being president of the United States. Oftentimes, MAGA hats will say, well, he doesn't take a salary. He's doing this out of the goodness of his own heart because he just loves America so much. And this, on its face, is just laughable. Because Donald Trump is profiting mightily. In an immeasurable amount, Donald Trump is making money hand over fist during his presidency. Now, if you listen to his dumbass kids, they will say, well, that is ridiculous. Our father is doing no business. But he didn't divest himself of his businesses like every other president has done. Every other presidential candidate who gets to the nominating period has divested themselves, put their businesses and their financial interests in a blind trust that they have no idea what's happening with it. That is not the case with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, every step of the way, stays at his properties, promotes his properties. The moment that he won the election, the membership fee for Mar-a-Lago skyrocketed. He has tried to put the G7 international conference at Doral in Florida, which he owns, which because of public outcry, justifiable public outcry, didn't happen. Well, in February, listen, I want to talk about this because with all the other things we're dealing with, some of these stories are falling through the cracks, and they should not. Because one, we shouldn't just chalk this up to, well, Donald Trump's a piece of shit. That's just what we got to deal with now. We should continue and to maintain our outrage about these things. In February, Donald Trump took a 4-state, 3-day trip. He went to California, Arizona, Colorado, and Nevada. 4 different states over 3 days. Each night, you would expect a president, when he comes to Los Angeles, he'd stay somewhere fancy, because he's the president of the United States, but he would stay in Los Angeles. When he flies out to Colorado Springs or wherever in Denver, he'd stay there. And same with Nevada, Arizona. That is not what Donald Trump did. Over the course of those 3 days, those 4 states, Donald Trump stayed each night, dragging with him all of the staff, dragging with him his security detail. Donald Trump stayed every night over the course of those 4 states in his hotel in Las Vegas. Now, when a president stays in a hotel, it is any hotel. It is not just one room, and then, like, if you happen to be staying there, you might be staying next to the President of the United States in his room. That's not how it works. An entire floor is cordoned off. Well, Donald Trump stayed at his particular casino hotel in Las Vegas on each one of those nights. And when asked about this is what he said. And I'm going to read from the White House official transcript. So trolls in the comments can't say, well, how do you know that's what he said? That could be doctored. This is from whitehouse.gov, dipshits. The question from a reporter was, on this swing, can you talk a little bit about these coming 3 days and also why you wanted to? Trump interrupts and says, yeah. The questioner continues, wait, also why you wanted to fly back to Las Vegas every night to spend the night there? Donald Trump, well, I don't know exactly the schedule because I don't set the schedule. The question inaudible, and then flying to Las Vegas every night to stay there. The president, yeah, largely The schedule is set by the Secret Service. We do what they want us to. So he's putting the onus on the Secret Service. He's putting on the decision on them that they decided he would fly back and forth across the western states so he could stay in Las Vegas at the Trump Hotel Casino because that's the most secure location, I'm sure. That it was a decision by the Secret Service. Well, I've talked about CREW, the Citizens for the Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. They filed a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request, which in the United States, government dealings can be sought, the records for government dealings can be sought by filing a Freedom of Information Act request, and then the information has to be provided. They submitted a FOIA request to the Secret Service to find out whether or not this was the case, whether or not there was a security, and they're not going to get down to the details of what the security situation is or what the determination was relative to Donald Trump's security, just for the security of the president. We want our president to be safe. But they filed to find out if there was indeed, that was the deciding factor, that it was the Secret Service, not just Donald Trump's whim to make money from all of those people staying in the hotel, because they don't stay for free. The government pays. The taxpayers foot the bill. This was the letter that the Secret Service sent back in response to the FOIA request. This is the final response to your Freedom of Information Act FOIA request, officially received by the United States Secret Service on February 25th, 2020. For all communications between January 1, 2019 and the present that relate to or support President Trump's assertion that the Secret Service wanted him to stay at the Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas, during his trip to Western states. In response to your Freedom of Information Act request, the United States Secret Service FOIA office has conducted a reasonable search for all potentially responsive documents. The United States Secret Service FOIA office searched all program officers and computer systems that were likely to contain potentially responsive records, and no records were located. There isn't any reason. So two things are happening. First, let me show you this map, how ridiculous this is, how much government resources were wasted with Donald Trump's trip. D.C. to Los Angeles, to Las Vegas, to Palm Springs. No. D.C. to Los Angeles, to Las Vegas. If that had been it, that's great, because he's ending up in Vegas and then flying back to D.C. But he spends the night in Vegas and then flies back to California, to Palm Springs, and then to Bakersfield, and then to Phoenix, and then to Las Vegas, and then to Colorado Springs, and then to Vegas again to spend the night, and then back east to Washington, D.C. Every one of these red arrows is a taxpayer-funded trip of Donald Trump's. Back and forth and back and forth. Also, he can drag his staff to stay at his hotel from which he is making money. And not only is he making money off of this, he's also gaining free advertising from the government, promoting his businesses. He's profiting. He's lying. Those two things in and of themselves are enough for any other president to have been removed, for any other president to be forced to resign, using his office for his personal benefit. But he's also besmirching the Secret Service. He's lying about the Secret Service, trying to drag them into his corruption. This is absolutely disgusting. This is Donald Trump, the grifter. The President of the United States of America being a con man, a liar, a scumbag, with his dirty kids in tow, who also have political aspirations, might I add. Listen, these things aren't just little things to bitch and complain about. These are big things. Our government should work for us. Our government is to serve us, to better our lives, to create that more perfect union that our founders talked about so often. They're not to enrich Donald Trump personally. It is an honor to be a leader as President of the United States. Just because he's given away his salary of $400,000, he very likely made more than $400,000 off this trip alone. So it's easy to give away your salary when everywhere you go when you're staying at Bedminster, which, by the way, in Jersey, he's renting or has rented $17,000 a month a house to the Secret Service. Now listen, again, the Secret Service needs to stay near the person they're protecting. So some of this is reasonable. Like when that has been the case, like I think Joe Biden rented for like $2,000 a month a guest house or something. That's reasonable. 17 grand. Anyway, I'm rambling now about all of this. I'd love to know what you think. 714-576-4054. As always, you can email me a voice memo or just a regular old email from your smartphone to daily@dollemore.com. These issues are important. We need to stay on top of them. We need to keep them in our mind going forward to November, because these are the issues that we need to eviscerate. We need to rid ourselves of this type of wanton, flagrant, in broad daylight corruption. The lies, the deceit. We don't need a grifter as President of the United States. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.